You're going to do it your way. I'm going to speed. I don't care what happens. Well, keep on speeding. Watch what... That's just stubbornness and rebellion together. Watch what happens. Watch how quick you go through your finances. Watch how quick the money goes out the window. Because every time the policeman stops you, you've got to pay the fine, you've got court costs, and your insurance goes up for the next 3 years. Until you get too many, and then your insurance drops you, and you go to state insurance. And I don't even know what that costs. It's about 5 times what, 3 or 5 times what normal insurance costs. But I've got my rebellion, and I've got my stubbornness. Yeah, I did it my way. But you're broke. You've paid the price. And what we don't realize, what God already knows, He understands my thoughts. He understands the thoughts, my aim and my purpose. He knows what's making me do that. Do you know what's making you do that? That's why we start with, oh Lord, a relationship. Because I have to rely on this relationship with God that I have to work these things out of me. Because some things are in you, you can't get out. Some things you can change. Some thoughts and some actions you can change. Some things you just can't change. It takes the miraculous. It takes the power of God to change that. For my life, I couldn't change the fear. I could not get the fear out of my life. God Himself had to do that. Now, my smart mouth, that I could change. Being mouthy, just, what's the word? I'm thinking kind of magpie-ish, just constant going and constantly being mouthy, constantly having to have my way, constantly having to win the argument. My wife still accuses me of having to have the last word. That's probably true.
Probably.
Yeah. But now, the difference between then and now, if I have the last word now, I know I'm right. Before God changed me, I had to have the last word just because I had to have the last word. It didn't matter if I was right, wrong, or otherwise. I was going to have the last word. And if you wanted to take the conversation on for 6 hours, fine. I'm right here with you. We'll just keep on going. Because I can't out-talk you. It's always been one of the traits in my life, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. As long as you've known me. And my whole life you've known me saved. Mm-hmm. Lots of changes in that time, though. But you see, the Lord knows He understands my thoughts from afar off, from a great distance off. From way back when, He understands why I am the way I am. Do you see the love of God forming here? Do you see the love of God in this? He searched me. He's already searched me. He already knows my ways. He already understands my thoughts. And He loves me. And He's already working to get me through the problem that I'm desperately trying to hold on to. The stubbornness that I'm trying to hold on to. The rebellion that I'm trying to hold on to. He's working to get me through that. He sees it afar off. And is working today for what's coming later. How many of you see that? That's love. That's a love that never surrenders. That's a love that never falls away. That's a love that He knows me like I am. And He just loves me. He loves me enough to work on my life. Verse 3. Thou compasseth my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. I like that. Lord, you compass. You compasseth. What's yours say for that word?
It says sift and search out, but I don't like that.
It's true. Actually, mine...
Yeah, because it says winnowest in the King James side.
Yeah. What it is to scatter, disperse, fan, or spread out. That's what it means. We think it's just surround.
Yeah.
It's not surround. Because it says, you compass my path. My path. My way. What are you doing to my way? The way that I'm going. You're scattering and dispersing my way. You're making my way more difficult. Why? So you can replace it with, He can replace it with His way. Because if push comes to shove, whose path are you going to take? The path of the Lord or the path of the flesh?
Flesh.
We were having this discussion last night. And if you have two people, and one is working on your life and is just pounding on you. Got to do this, pounding, 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 working on you because you need that. You need that pounding. And you have another person that's just stroking you and telling you, oh, you're just so wonderful. You're lovely, you're wonderful, you're perfect, you're great. Oh, you're God's gift. Which person are you going to tend to go with? The one that pounds on you with what you need? Or the one that strokes your back and tells you how wonderful and lovely you are? You can say it. Who are you going to go with?
The one that just makes me feel good about it.
Yeah, the one that makes you feel good about yourself. Of course, they don't help your problem any, but they make you feel good about you. I feel as wonderful as I think I am. Praise God. Must be God. What does God do? He scatters my path. If your path is scattered, it makes it more difficult. He spreads out my path. And to scatter, we can take it in different ways. That he makes my path bigger so I can walk on His path, or He just kind of spreads my way out in front of me. And I more tend to think the love of God is not going to let me go down the path I want to go down. He's going to scatter that and disperse that path. He's going to spread it out all over the place that makes it more difficult, so I'll have to go down His path, go into the will of God and not into the will of me. So He scatters my path and my lying down. My path here being the way of life or my passing of life, the way I go through life. He's dispersing that in front of me, the way I go through life. And back to where I was. And He comes as my path, and this carries through. He comes as my lying down. He scatters, or He disperses, or fans, or spreads out my lying down. Lying down here is, this is when I want to lie down because I can't take it. It's too hard. I quit. I've had enough. He makes that point in life, that time in life when I've had enough, I quit. He's going to make it more difficult for us to do that. He scatters that part of our life. Because how many of you have ever wanted to just lay down and say, I quit? Throw in the towel. I've done it. I've had enough. I'm going to do what I want to do. You ever been there? Mm-hmm. I told you, I often tell the story that I'd been saved about 6 months. And I was trying everything. God was working on my life. I was working on my life. I was doing what I thought I needed to do. And everything was just pounding on me. And when I first got saved, I needed a lot of work. Lots and lots and lots and lots of work. I was an absolute wreck, emotional wreck, spiritual wreck. You know, just basically a wreck all around. It was just a mess. And God was working on me. And one day I came home and I sat on my bed and I said, I quit. I actually out loud said, God, I quit. I've had enough. It's too hard. I can't take this anymore. I cannot take what you're doing. I quit. And I fell back on my bed, and the Lord spoke to me. This is exactly what He said. He said, Jerry, if what you had was so good, why'd you leave it in the first place? I looked up, and out loud I said, that makes entirely too much sense. Out loud I said that. It makes entirely too much sense. And I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning, and I've served God ever since. You know, that was the closest I ever got. But what did He do? I had come to the place of, I quit. I'm lying down. I'm over. I'm done. He dispersed it. He took that quit and went, pff, just blew it away. Why? He wants to keep me moving. He wants to keep me going in the direction that's best for me. He wants to keep me moving toward the will of God. And in the will of God, that's love. We don't always understand the love that God has for us. Yes, but my life is hard. God loves you. Yes, I understand. He understands your purpose and what you're going through from a long way off. He doesn't have to get right up on it and micromanage each little thing. He can just set stuff in place and watch it work on you. How does a grinding stone work? You get,
Wears you down.
you get the wheel working and you put the blade on it and you just go back and forth, back and forth. As long as the wheel's turning, it just grinds and grinds and it hurts and it grinds. And sometimes you got a nick or something in it. What do? You just sit it and hold it on that spot. And it just grinds on one spot. Grinds and grinds. I have been known to be a grinding wheel in people's lives. Go figure. I have been known to get on things like a bulldog and bite down and hold on and laugh at you the whole time I'm doing it. Just grind and grind and grind and grind. Well, is God clueless that you're being ground down? No. Who do you think's turning the wheel? He's the one turning the wheel, making the wheel turn and causing your life to go back and forth over this wheel, to be ground back and forth, back and forth. That's love. What's he trying to do? Make a sharp edge out of you. He's trying to take you from a blunt piece of steel into a sharp edge that can be used. That can be used in this world. He's trying to make you what you want to be. Because we all want to be a sharp edge. We just don't want to be ground down to get that sharp edge. You know, I'd rather be a blunt piece of steel but want to cut things. Blunt pieces of steel don't cut things. They smash things. They make a mess. You get a sharp knife, what's it do? You know, take a piece of steel after a tomato. Whack it one time. See what happens. And,
it's less effort too on the sharp.
Yeah. And then go get one of those, you know, those new sharp ceramic Ginsu blades. You know, and you just have to look at it with that blade, and the tomato just gets scared and opens up. That's how sharp that blade is. You just got to point it, and it falls open. I've seen all the commercials. They just they just have to touch the tomato, and I get my knives out and I go, what's wrong with this knife? And I start sawing and nothing works. Why? It doesn't have the edge that it needs to have to be used in that situation. If you want to work in someone's life, what do you need? A sharp edge. You need God's edge. You need you need to become an extension of the sword of the Spirit. That's sharp. Cutting asunder what? Bone and marrow. Soul and spirit. You need to be able to cut like that. That takes being ground down. But I don't want that. You compass my lying down and art acquainted with all my ways. I love that. You're familiar and you know intimately all my ways. My ways being my journey, my directions, habits, course of life, and this one, moral character. We can hide everything in life. You can fake everything in life, but moral character cannot be faked. Eventually, it comes out. You can fake your journey. You can fake the way. You can put on airs in. I mean, we grew up in South Louisiana. There's nothing. You talk about airs, putting on what people see, and acting a certain way. But you can't hide moral character. But this says, if I quit losing my space, losing my spot, I've lost my psalm now. Oh, art acquainted with all my ways. You know intimately my moral character. That's love. He knows everything that's in me. He knows what I fight with. He knows what I'm going through. He knows what needs to happen in my life. He's already searched me. He's already searched you. He already knows you. Isn't that great? Yeah. The trick is, what do you find? We want to know, what'd you find when you started looking? I found that you're a piece of steel, and now I'm going to grind you down to a sword. And in grinding you, I'm going to grind off all the garbage, all the dirt, all the stuff, all the moral character that's not good, all the ways and the habits that aren't good. I'm going to grind all that down. Well, that could take a lifetime. Yes, it could. Isn't it great? He's with me my whole life. in all